Wait. Harry doesn't want the shot.
Harry's in a lot of pain.
I want the pain.
He wants the pain.
Weekly outdoor hunting was my favorite activity, but just then, my father suddenly felt chest pain. I immediately picked up my father and rushed him to the hospital. After emergency treatment, my father was out of danger, but he needed to stay in the hospital for observation for a few days. However, after a few days, my father's condition kept getting worse. Later, he was even in so much pain that he couldn't speak. I felt anxious but helpless. When I was walking down the hallway, I happened to see the head nurse comforting a deceased patient's family, but she had this creepy smile on her face. I had a feeling something was off. The next day, I saw the head nurse cutting up a newspaper with scissors. I immediately went to the store and bought the exact same newspaper. After comparing them, she had cut out the obituary of the person who died last night. I finally understood why my father's condition kept getting worse. That nurse must have made my father her target. That afternoon, while Nurse Mary was giving other patients their medication, I snuck into her office. Sure enough, I found a photo album in her drawer. It was full of obituaries from past patients. Mary had been collecting them like trophies. She could look through them during her free time. Then I quietly put it back where I found it. I collected my father's medications. I took them to my medical school's lab for testing. I found potassium nitrate in the medication. Potassium nitrate is easily absorbed by the body when diluted. Small amounts won't cause much harm. But if someone gets multiple injections of potassium nitrate, it becomes deadly. Even experienced medical examiners would have trouble determining the cause of death. I desperately wanted to get revenge for my father, but I needed someone to back me up, and that person had to be my father. While Mary wasn't looking, I quickly whispered the situation to my father. Then I refused Mary's request to give him a shot. When I saw her show that vicious look, I felt relieved. My father, being a cop, definitely saw through her bad intentions too. Late that night, I got to Mary's house early. I covered her walls with plastic sheeting. My movements weren't very smooth. This was my first time doing something like this. Then I hid in the shadows of her living room, waiting for her to open the door. After I read out Mary's crimes, I became her judge. I quickly took out this killer. The next day, when I was driving home, I saw a bunch of police cars in front of my house.
This look like a big deal to you?
Please, just one more day. I won't screw around. Just don't hurt me.
When I was on my way to work at the police station, I discovered a victim lying on the ground. Looking at the crime scene in front of me, I instantly deduced the killer's method.
The body was in full rigor, meaning the killer had struck a minimum of 8 hours ago. Decayed incisors, definitely a long-time drug user. Crack, cocaine, maybe both.
Based on the direction of the blood spatter on the ground, I figured the killer had quietly approached from behind, then delivered the fatal blow to the victim. Although I'm just a forensic intern, I believe my deduction was absolutely perfect. After excitedly sharing my findings with the police, my supervisor just smiled. Then he called over another colleague. She asked me to describe my findings in more detail.
The killer was standing in front of the victim when he shot him. You see the void in the blood spatter? That's where the killer was.
Back at the station, I quickly received a new assignment to investigate files related to drug cases from recent years in the archives. Although this was tedious work, I made a new discovery in the archive room. It turned out the Miami Police Department's murder case solve rate was less than 15%. All these killers became my targets. The next day, the station received a major case. A judge's son had been kidnapped. A severed finger was sent to the judge's home. The kidnapper seemed to want to threaten the judge into making an unjust ruling. After fingerprint comparison, it was confirmed that the finger belonged to the judge's son. Watching this scene, I felt incredibly angry. I wanted to personally punish this kidnapper. Now everyone at the station was searching for that kidnapper. I just needed to wait quietly. But to satisfy that urge inside me, I decided to handle another case first. Years ago, a mother was shot and killed. Her child became an orphan, but the killer was released due to insufficient evidence. I decided to personally catch this killer. The next day, I secretly snuck into his home. I would act after finding solid evidence. The killer's name was Jack. His main job was loan sharking. Jack had hurt many people through violent debt collection. Based on the borrower list I found on his desk and the schedule records on his calendar, I came up with a good idea. I decided to use myself as bait. First, I'd go borrow some money from Jack, but an excellent hunter always makes thorough preparations. I also needed a fake identity to avoid arousing his suspicion, so I had a colleague from forensics help me make a fake ID. Then I found Jack at a pool hall. I pretended to chat with him about borrowing money for sports betting, successfully struck up a conversation with him. At this moment I recalled the list of his loan clients I saw at his house. I randomly mentioned a few names. I said I was good friends with them, so I easily borrowed $3,000 from him. The plan was half successful at this point. He required me to put up my ID as collateral. I gave him the fake ID. I never intended to pay him back. On Friday night, I arrived at the bar early, then deliberately lost all my money at the pool table. Watching my money disappear before my eyes, Jack immediately became very angry. He revealed the gun at his waist and forced me to come outside. This was his usual method. For broke losers who couldn't pay back, the best way was to let them learn a lesson with a gunshot. I showed a sly smile of success, then immediately put on a cowardly and timid act. I pretended to promise I'd definitely pay back in a few days. He left after making threats. I immediately got up and dug out the bullet that had just embedded in the tree. This was the most important thing in my plan. I compared this bullet with the records in the case file. They matched completely. With the evidence in hand, I could begin to act. That night, I secretly snuck into his house.
How the fuck did you get out?
When he woke up again, I showed him the crimes he had committed. I immediately became the judge and quickly eliminated this killer.
Somebody! Oh, God! Oh, somebody!
I discovered many killers in the archives who weren't arrested due to insufficient evidence, so I decided to capture them myself. This time, I chose a killer known as Mad Dog. This motherfucker has hurt at least over 300 families in his lifetime. Now retired, he's returned to Miami. He's running a boat rental business. Although this prey is extremely dangerous, I'm actually even more excited about it. After getting my police father's tacit approval, I quietly came to the boat rental shop he operates. I disguised myself as a customer saying I wanted to go fishing. I easily found out when he would go out to sea. Then based on the information on his business card, I learned his specific address. So while he wasn't home, I secretly came to his house to collect evidence. But after looking around, I didn't find anything. However, I didn't give up easily. In the shredded paper remnants, I discovered a photo of a man. This could very likely be his next target. After returning to the police station, I spent half a day piecing the photo together. Then based on the name, age, and other information on the back, I found his criminal record in the police system. It turns out this guy was involved in multiple fraud transactions. Now after being caught, he became a witness for the prosecution. He's scheduled to testify in court in a week. Now his photo appeared in Mad Dog's house. This means Mad Dog hasn't actually retired. Instead, he's taken someone's commission to kill this witness. After going home that night, I told my father about this matter.
What's this?
Mad Dog definitely isn't retired.
And?
What do you think is happening when a known hitman has files on a snitch who's about to testify against the mob? Reyes is Mad Dog's next hit. Mad Dog will kill Reyes at any moment. I have to do something. Thanks, Dad.
The next night, I quietly ambushed in his house. I launched a sneak attack from behind while he was off guard. Then I began setting up the scene. I always pay attention to ritual in my operations. After reading their crimes in front of the killers, only then do I punish them. But this time, I was careless. This prey was also a killer. His ability to withstand attacks was much stronger than ordinary people. He quickly escaped. I hurriedly chased after him. Just when I was about to catch up with him, he suddenly fell down.
Somebody else! Shit. Oh, please call 911.
I immediately felt panicked. Although the hit-and-run driver could now be considered guilty, killing him wouldn't be against the rules. But as more and more witnesses gathered around, I could only choose to leave quickly. So I hurried back to his house to clean up the scene. I feel somewhat regretful now. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have bothered with the ritual. Maybe I would have completed this hunt long ago. I could only frantically clean up the scene, cleaning up all the traces. After carefully confirming nothing was missed, just when I was about to leave, the sound of police knocking came from outside.
Miami Metro PD!
Hello? Anyone home?
Oh, this is the men's room. Maybe you should wash your hands.
Don't worry. I won't be using my hands.
I'm a forensic investigator filled with justice. Before every operation, I carefully collect evidence. Then I present the evidence in front of these guys, whether they repent or not. I always stick to justice. I enjoy the thrill that justice brings me. I've also learned a lot from my operations. This time, my target is Levi, a very promiscuous man. He often goes to bars to hit on beautiful women, and he always goes to the restroom together with them halfway through, although each time only lasts 3 minutes. But I'm very curious about this. Fortunately, I soon got a chance to verify it. At the invitation of my sister, I had my first date in life. While playing darts, Levi's pickup scene suddenly flashed through my mind. I immediately imitated Levi's moves, holding Sophia's wrist and giving it a gentle throw. The dart hit the bullseye. Sophia was thrilled. As the atmosphere gradually became intimate, I placed my hand on her shoulder. Unexpectedly, Sophia was even more forward than me. I had never experienced these things before, so I pretended to pee and hid in the restroom. But Sophia actually followed me. She came to the toilet, then locked the door. I suddenly felt at a loss.
Maybe you should wash your hands. There's a whole petri dish of bacteria on that door handle alone.
Don't worry. I won't be using my hands.
Turns out dating wasn't so complicated. It was maybe even kind of fun.
After the date ended, I drove her home. Romance can only be considered a seasoning of life at most. Solving cases is my main job. Then, I immediately drove to the destination. In 1991 Chicago. I didn't need to worry about surveillance around.
I've been thinking about you too.
Then I returned home. This was my third operation. If I succeeded, I could successfully be promoted to judge. When I took out the evidence, he suddenly started laughing. He said there was essentially no difference between him and me. However, I remained completely unmoved. I indeed love my work very much, but I would never hurt any good person.
Where's my son?
Fuck you, pig. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Keep your fucking hands up.
When I was at work, the police station suddenly received a serious case. Someone anonymously mailed a severed finger to the police station. Last month, the police station also received a severed finger. A few days later, a child missing a finger was found dead under a bridge. Sheriff Aaron's son happened to go missing a few days ago. Today, the police station received another severed finger. Aaron completely broke down emotionally when he found out. My supervisor immediately had me run fingerprint and blood tests on the severed finger. Then, she reported the test results to the sheriff.
We ran the print, and it matches school records. I'm sorry, sir, the finger does belong to your son.
I asked my supervisor what I could do to help, but she told me to stay on the sidelines. Because I'm just a forensic intern, I really wanted to know which fucking asshole did this. So, I carefully examined the box that contained the severed finger. I suddenly noticed a drop of red blood. I immediately visualized the crime scene in my head. The killer might have accidentally been cut on the wrist by the child during the crime, which caused blood to splatter onto the box. I immediately told my supervisor about my theory, but whether this blood actually belongs to the killer or not, we'd have to wait for the lab results to find out. The next morning, Sheriff Aaron came to the forensic office alone. He saw the blood test results. The blood on the outside of the box matched the blood type of the severed finger. Fuck. This crucial lead suddenly went cold. But I suddenly realized, what if the killer and the child have the same blood type? I wanted to apply for DNA testing. At that moment, I suddenly noticed his wrist seemed to be injured.
Ouch.
Oh, yeah. This is what I get trying to fix the air conditioner in my shitty apartment. I haven't been able to sleep very well lately. If you have any other theories that could help me find out who did this to Nikki, come to me directly.
A terrifying thought suddenly crossed my mind. Sheriff Aaron might be the serial killer who specifically targets children. But when I was about to investigate this case further, my supervisor suddenly gave me tons of other work. This left me with no time to continue investigating the child abduction case. That motherfucking Aaron must be deliberately trying to stop me. His behavior made me even more certain of my suspicion. In the afternoon, I saw him rushing to leave the police station. I immediately drove and followed behind him. I saw him hand a yellow plastic bag to some thug. Then he drove away. I wanted to know what was inside that bag, so I quietly followed that thug in my car. Eventually, he parked his car in a yard. Then he secretly hid the plastic bag inside his clothes. He knocked on the door. Another thug opened the door. Then he went inside. Just when I was about to investigate further, my pager suddenly went off. I had to immediately drive back to the station. That evening, my supervisor asked me to join her on an emergency mission. She said someone had just called the police station anonymously. That guy said he saw the sheriff's son being held captive in a drug dealer's house. A large number of police immediately rushed to the scene. But when I arrived at the destination, I fucking realized this drug dealer's house was the same place I'd been to this afternoon. Holy shit. So this motherfucker sheriff wanted to frame the drug dealer. Then Aaron directed all the police to storm into the drug dealer's house. At that moment, he pretended to ask the drug dealer where his son was.
Where's my son?
Fuck you, pig. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Keep your fucking hands up.
After the fight ended, the police immediately searched the entire house. However, they didn't find his son. Aaron pretended to be heartbroken and crouched on the ground. I stood on the side quietly watching his fake performance. I really wanted to arrest him on the spot, but I had no evidence to prove he was the killer. At that moment, I suddenly found that yellow plastic bag used for clothes. I recalled what happened during the day. When he handed the plastic bag to that thug, he wasn't wearing gloves. The next day, I extracted fingerprints from the plastic bag. This was enough to prove that Sheriff Aaron was the killer. I could finally arrest him myself. So I pretended to be that thug and mailed him a blackmail letter. I told him to bring $5,000 to meet me. He was afraid his secret would be discovered by others. He had no choice but to immediately drive to the place I told him. At that moment, this motherfucker walked in from outside.
What the